Recording. Hey everyone, this is episode 446 of the OotiniCast, being recorded on the 30th of August of 2022. Let me check. Looks like the stream is working normally. And this is the raw version of the show, which goes out with all flubs and etc. intact. And then we will we'll clean up the audio and put that out as a podcast tomorrow, as well as we'll also put the raw version of the video feed of the stream on YouTube as well. And we're going to get going on the real show here in just a minute. I'm going to tweet out the fact that we're live. It looks like we'll be able to go pretty much right at the top of the hour, which is great. We do have like family dinner today, which will be wonderful.
Yeah, we Kitty Treats ordered Indian food. Last time awesome. we went pretty hard on the Indian food, and it almost killed poor Kitty Treats.
Why is that?
I don't know. She had... What happened, babe? I don't think she can hear me. Oh, I was talking about your chickpea.
Okay, I tweeted it out.
Yeah.
Chickpea overdose.
Digestion.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's really, is that because of the chickpeas or because of the sauce or what?
I think it was the chickpeas.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but we didn't get them this time.
yeah, and I'll bet not. No, I'll bet, yeah, if you kind of go overboard. That's funny, though, because my son has been making a ton of chickpea masala lately, because he kind of like...
Oh, really?
He found a recipe for it, and we all liked it, and he's also been making it on his own, so he's had a lot of it. And certainly, I've not had any issues from it, and I don't think he has either. But, you never know. It's like...
I don't think she has in the past. I don't know. Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
I think it's because we had consecutive days of chickpeas and stuff.
Maybe, yeah. Her body rebelled in some way.
Yeah, and then
Indian food really good. And I guess it makes sense. Like if you're vegetarian like her, she's fully vegan, right?
Yeah, she's full.
If you're fully vegan, then Indian food becomes a really good source of recipes and stuff, because there's a lot of vegan and vegetarian, but vegan food from that. That's really awesome. Horrific gas, huh? I guess it makes sense. It's all sort of in the lentil family, so
yeah.
So it's all like that.
I guess it all depends on how much you cook them.
Right.
That's my experience with working with beans and stuff.
Yep. I guess if we vamped enough, I think it is the top of the hour. We can get going.
Let's do it.
All right. Sounds good. And let me stretch a bit here. Gotta stretch my mouth out.
Stretch it.
All right. We'll go in 5. Oh yeah, Audacity's rolling. Did you figured that one out, right?
Yep, I'm double checking. We are rolling.
Okay, -2. We're good to go then. All right, going now. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan. This is episode 446, being recorded on Tuesday, August 30th, 2022. Yes, I have not used that quote before. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, KittyKissz. Hey, Kitty.
Hello, Chill. Hello, chat.
And it's the two of us, so what you been up to since last show?
I have been busy. A lot of people at work have decided to go on vacation at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So, which means I picked up 3 extra days. Oof. And oof.
That'll keep you busy.
Yeah. And then I'm so tired. And it's not like I'm working a lot of hours. It's just my sleep schedule is kind of messed up, because I get to work about 4:30 a.m.
Right.
And I wake up early anyway, but my body clock is set up to do, one day in particular, and now it's having to do multiple days, and
yeah, that's no fun. That will definitely screw you up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then whatever. It's not that bad, but it's got me a little wonky. But so just being really, really busy, doing some PvP with you and the wonderful Kitty Treats, and that was, I think we did that last Sunday, right? And it was like a time warp. I think
what
we only
way?
did it for 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, I see.
It felt like we were only playing for like a half hour maybe.
Right,
but
right.
it was multiple
But
hours.
it was definitely over 2, and I think you're right. It was
Yeah.
like 2.5-ish, or maybe even
It was
pushing 3.
really fun, and we did really well.
Yeah.
Which was great, and it's just fun. I can't wait to do it again. It's going to be fun, and I know Kitty, she's been having a lot of fun with it too. She likes playing that support role, the tank role, and she's been doing awesome at it.
Yeah,
So,
lots and lots of protection points when we see the numbers at the end. That was really nice.
Yeah,
and your damage is usually higher than mine now, so that's good. You've really dialed into your spec really tight, which is great.
There.
Yeah, and usually now, unless they don't focus me, usually you do out damage me now. So if there's any if I'm on the move or get focused at all, I have no chance of out damaging you, which is awesome. That means you've got it all dialed in and doing some good deeps, which is awesome.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying the operative. I think this is only my second operative that I ever made. It was one of the classes that I stayed away from for the longest time, having been playing for around 10 years.
Right.
I was just never appealed to me, and I love it. I've never done, well, I take that back. It's been a while since I've done the Dirty Fighting Smuggler, and I want to try that next. But it's just something about that. I love the rifle and that the sound of stabbing people. It's so fun. I'm really having a lot of fun with it. So. And
Kitty Treats in chat saying loved Hutball and pulling you guys up. Yeah, she did a really good job with that too, because
she's awesome.
And we kicked so much butt on that Hutball because it's just like if you get into position, and unless they can pull you back or whatever right away, it's such a huge advantage. So nice.
The three of us were the only 3 that scored during that one game, which we won.
Right, and I think it was like 3-1. Yeah, it was like we each got a point, and then like they got one. They managed to get 1 point at one point, and that was it. It was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
I've been doing a little bit of gambling, but have not won anything of any importance.
All right.
Meaning, all I'm getting is I've got the golden ticket, and that's about it. But I've way surpassed my underworld ticket thing so I can buy dies for my characters, which that's kind of what I spend the majority of those on.
Yeah, right.
And
primary black, secondary black, primary blue, secondary blue, and primary red, secondary red. Yeah.
But there's another one too that's
there's a couple other nice ones.
Brown and bright brown or something. Anyway, they're all awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm well over 200 of those, and I figured I spend about 50 a year, so
you're set.
As long as I can reset it to 200, I feel like I can get through the year until next year's event, and then I'm fine.
And who knows, maybe you'll find some, because there's like there's a Varactyl mount, there's a couple of the throne mounts that are really cool. Like there's definitely some ones that you can find uses for, as well as in terms of like gear and mounts and pets and armor and weapons and all that good stuff.
Yeah, there's all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, pretty much all that stuff that you can kind of expect. Like every category, there's some of it on those vendors, which is awesome.
Yeah, they're great. What else have I been doing? It ends up that my gaming PC is just not able to provide everything we need for our dual stream setup. So we are going to be reverting back to the 3 PC system.
Wait, the 3 PC system. Oh, okay. Right. But you were having so many troubles with that.
Yeah, but I think we figured them out.
Okay.
Having time to step away from it and not have to deal with it, and getting some help from shout out to Chili. Thank you, Chili. He owns the same Rodecaster that I have.
Okay.
And he kind of explained to us how you can set the sound up and all that, and it made a lot of sense. So we're going to give it a shot again, because I got the blue screen of death the other day when we were playing, and and then we got it again the next day.
Oh man!
And so we're like, okay, the computer can't handle it. I was looking at the percentage that my GPU was running at, and it was pegged at 100.
Oh no!
And yeah, it's just like, okay, the GPU can't handle that.
Yeah,
so.
Probably doesn't help that SWTOR is a particularly like GPU heavy game anyway, because it doesn't. It's never been like, because it's an older game. It's not heavily optimized to take advantage of your of your graphics card. It does use the graphics card, of course, to some extent, but not as much as most games are nowadays. And,
no, my GPU, that's what was pinged. My CPU is fine.
Okay, your GPU. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about your CPU. Oh,
yeah, the CPU is great. It's the GPU that's pegged.
The GPU is pegged. Wow,
exactly, because
that's
we're
amazing.
Running so many cameras.
Okay,
and there's so many other things.
And it's trying to merge all these things together and layer them. Is that what's happening?
Too much.
It just doesn't like
there's
it.
a lot of stuff going on.
GPU. Wow.
Elgato face cam, which is just gobbling up all that GPU goodness. But so we're just going to go back and try it the other way. And my game doesn't look as good. It doesn't play as good.
Oh, that's no fun.
So, yeah. I mean, it's not as bad as it has been throughout the years. The computer still plays it really well. But, once you get used to it looking and playing really well with all the shadows on and everything, you're just like, okay,
you don't want those blob shadows back. No siree, Bob.
No, I can't go back. I've become accustomed to the finer things, and there's no returning. And I think that's about it. I'm actually looking forward to it, though. There was a lot of I was not looking forward to it, but now I'm like, okay, I think we got a handle on it. Kitty Treats is really good at that stuff. And between the two of us and with the help of our friend Chili, I think we're going to be able to get it.
Excellent.
Which is going to be great. So maybe we'll be able to help other people out when if they ever decide to go the 3 computer setup, because we can't find anybody else that's doing it. So
yeah.
But that's about it.
Jay in chat is saying multi-PC stream setup. No,
not
like this. It is very tricky. Yeah. I can't imagine.
Mo computers, mo problems.
That's right. All right. Let's see. So shall we do the chat list here? Let's see.
Chat.
Tons of people who have chatted quite yet. 24 is here. Averion, Giatti, Kitty Treats, Squishy Twitchy. But then we also have Smokey J. Yeah, again, Lodvar is here. I don't know the way the Twitch does the chat names now is just so poor. At least it just doesn't. Anyway, it doesn't list people the way it used to, and I don't like it. But anyway, hi everyone. whether I was able to name your name or not, hello everyone. Thank you for coming. Let's see. So yeah, I too have been loving the dual PvP streams that we've been doing. We've also had a couple of guildies like DL Smoothwolf with us occasionally to sort of round out the team. We've also had guildies on purposefully queue up and then see that they either get on our team or they smack us around. That's a lot of fun. And we've been when we're doing these streams, that's the main time I've been doing the nightlife event. Except when I get Emperor a reasonable amount of Emperor tokens on someone, I'll usually run over and play them. But other than that, it's mostly just when we're doing the PvP streams. I've got a couple of the weapons now. No goggles though, which is the one thing I really want to get. So it's looking more and more like somewhere, and the event goes until the 13th. Somewhere around the 10th or 11th or 12th, I'm probably just gonna have to do a stream where I do nothing but play the machines on all the different characters that have like Kingpin and tokens.
Full of coffee, sit down.
Or just
buckle up and
grind
just go
it out
for it.
And try for it until we get it. But whatever. I did get the actual assault cannon and it happened to be on the character who actually uses an assault cannon, which is like the Jinx cosplay character, and it looks really cool on her. Cool. Yeah, it's a slick machine. Of course, the assault cannon being the biggest one, you can see all the little details and stuff even easier. Very nice gun. I also like the fact that it has this sort of pinkish purple, like color crystal built in. No stats, but that's just the basic color that comes with it. And so I didn't put a color crystal in it. I just slapped it in to the weapons slot on the outfitter so that it has the natural color, because I really think it's cool looking, and it's pretty rare in the game too. Like, there are some pink ones, there are some purple ones, but this sort of pinky purple one is really, really nice looking, and it's appropriate to the gun too. Yeah, it works for the character too. She wears she wears pink and purple. Those are like the colors she wears and stuff like that. So it works great. So no goggles yet, but other than that. And I have been doing some on Chunmineta, who's the leveling PvP character. I do some of the nightlife event with him, but not very much. I've mostly been just doing regular leveling with him. Can't remember exactly where I left him, though, because I've been doing other things. Like, I've been focusing more on getting my gear up to 330. And the other thing I've been doing is She-Hulk, because I've been really having a lot of fun with her. She's not doing any PvP. She's just doing class story. She's finished with the actual class story now. She's level 49, done with Corellia, done with the class story.
What class is she?
She's a trooper who uses scoundrel abilities.
Oh, okay. Super punch.
Yeah, right. For the lots of punching. Yeah, tons and tons of punching. And I'm trying to like manage it so that I use like as many globals as possible doing the sucker punch, which is actually a double punch. So every time you do it, it's like pop, pop, and your character actually does swing her fists and everything. It's great. It's perfect for a character like that. Now I still kind of miss like the rocket punch from like Power Tech, because that's a really a very heroic looking super heroic looking punch ability.
Cool. Yeah.
But it's really nice being on a character where they're just doing just punch punch punch, and then I did add the kick, so she has the optional kick ability.
Nut punt.
Yep. It's a lot of fun. So other than that, like I said, doing tons of dailies. I did actually, in my notes, I said almost there. I actually did a short stream and actually just ground out the last 4 daily areas I needed to get the last piece. And then what I did is I also need a tank set, because I have my DPS mains are also my tank mains. But I've been gearing up the DPS gear, so now I need tank sets. So what I did is I set the loot to the Power Tech one, the Shield Tech, and started opening, and it worked. It did give me the 330 offhand, for example, which is not something you would normally get if you're playing Smuggler, but because it was set to Shield Tech, it was able to give me an offhand that was a proper generator with defensive stats.
Excellent.
Or shield, rather, not generator. And all the other stuff. So I've got pretty much a full set of defensive ones. The only problem is like some of them I have the wrong version, where I have I don't have the shield. I have the the other defensive stat, the absorption one. Yeah, and there's a couple of them that I'm gonna either have to grind them out, or I'm gonna have to get lucky and open up the boxes eventually. There's also one more relic that I want. I have the older one at 326, so the other possibility is that while I'm grinding them up, if I don't get the one I want, I just turn the one I want into the 330.
Right.
Yeah. So pretty much there, not quite, but pretty close. I haven't. That was right before, and I was kind of running out of time, so I haven't like moved augments or done all that other stuff. We're pretty much there, though. I'm pretty happy. However, the implants are going to be a while. However, because I have the achievement where I've got a character with 30 implants or higher, so at least getting from 326 to 330 will be a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
which is good. So a little work to do, but pretty much set now. And also the DPS set. Yeah, the DPS set is almost done. I have one 334 implant, one 330 implant, so 2 more, which unfortunately is 13,000 tech fragments, but we'll get there eventually. And like I said, we'll have to do the same thing on the tank gear. So it's going to be a while before I use for tech points for anything other than implants, but whatever. It's all good.
And chasing the gear is part of the fun, though.
It is, especially. Yeah. I'm kind of glad it was. It was not too easy.
Right. Well, especially now that I've stopped really desperately trying to get it as fast as possible,
right.
just kind of doing it leisurely is I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
Like every time I get a piece of upgraded gear, I get excited.
It's like, yay, yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have even ground it so hard today. It was just, I only had one more piece that I could actually grind for. And it's like, let's just get this done. So I could open up all the boxes, and see how that worked. And it worked fine.
What's in the box?
Yeah, exactly. I do have some other boxes on some other characters. So I might look around and see, like, do they have a defensive spec that I could at least try to get the other relic for or whatever, or some of these other pieces and try to get the shield stat up even higher. So I might, that's going to be very piddly though. It's not going to be a lot of fun to watch. So I'll probably do that off stream at some point, but we'll figure that out later. Let's see. And this week I gave myself an early birthday gift. So Kitty's laughing because I almost took a couple of days off of the game to have my colonoscopy. Yay! So if you've never had one, I talk about it a lot on Cryptobiography. So if you're ever wondered what it's actually like, I do like a full rundown of what it's like from the patient point of view, at least on that on the last episode of Cryptobiography. All I'll say is it's really not that bad. Unfortunately I did have some polyps that got taken out, and they're going to have to do some looking and seeing if there's anything serious with them. Probably aren't, but you never know. We'll have to deal with that when it comes. But yeah, the process itself, the only real pain in the butt is the prep work you have to do food wise and so on to get cleaned out before it happens. It's not easy. It's not the easiest thing in the world, and it's a pain in the butt for sure. It's in more ways than one. And then, but the actual process is pretty easy once you get to the clinic. So yeah, you kind of fast. Well, you go on a special diet for a few days, and then you have to take this medicine that basically just cleans you right out, clean as a whistle. Yeah, it's crazy.
You're lucky to have bones anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you do not make any plans to go anywhere on that day. It's like once you start drinking that drink, you're pretty much you're at home then. So yeah, it was an interesting experience. So
cool.
But yeah, it's all good. And like I said, once you actually get to the clinic, it's like super easy. And I've never been put under, so I didn't know if it would be scary or anything like that, but I've never had to be put under for any sort of surgery or anything. So this is the first time I've ever been put under in any capacity. They don't do like a full knockout where they have to intubate you. There's no tube down your throat or anything like that. It was just a couple of those little nostril tubes.
Oh, okay.
And they put
so
you
it
in,
wasn't intravenous.
Right. Well, it is. There's an IV drip. That's how they give you.
Well.
You do have an IV. Yeah. Okay. But they use a medicine that puts you in what they call twilight sleep, which is basically instead of a real serious knockout, instead it puts you under, and then they have to reapply it like every 2 or 3 minutes. Like it's really often, and then for as long as the process takes. There's also another medicine that basically like is a memory wipe. Like you don't remember anything from the time they give you that, from the time they give you that medicine until you wake up in the recovery area, which is actually
your wallet at home.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they give you a little bag, and you have all your stuff goes in a little sealed bag. So, yeah, nothing was missing. I mean, these are all people making pretty reasonable money. There's no reason for them to.
We know you're into some kinky stuff, though.
So it was an interesting experience, but really not that bad. I mean. And both days I was at least able to get on SWTOR a little bit and just play around, but I just wasn't able to do anything real serious. So yeah, interesting experience, and not as scary as it has a really bad reputation, but it really wasn't that bad. One of the things that I found was really not as bad as the reputation was they always tell you like how horrible the drink is that you have to drink. I think they've changed it over the years because the one the other one, I had a relative who had one recently as well, and the two of us each had different ones, but neither of them were that kind where you kind of had to hold. Apparently, like you used to have to hold your nose and stuff like that to sort of get it down. Apparently, that stuff really used to taste awful. The one I had was a drink, but it tasted very chalky and had a little medicine-y, purple medicine, like grapey sort of flavor added to it. Mm-hmm. But it really just tasted like very sort of salty, chalky, grapey medicine, and it wasn't like super pleasant. Or something? It wasn't pleasant, yeah, kind of very medicinal for sure, but not like hold your nose gross. And certainly it hardly smelled like anything. Even the grape smell was very, very slight. Yeah, it wasn't that bad at all. And the other person who had the colonoscopy recently actually just got pills. It was actually water, and you took water with like, it was a bunch of pills, and they were pretty big pills, so it was not the easiest thing in the world, but it was like just pills, no flavor at all, really. So down they went, and then there you go. Yeah, so it's really not that scary. It's just, it has a bad reputation for sure, but it's really not that bad.
Needs to be done.
Yep. All right. Anyway, enough talking about that. Let's go to the tip of the week. DL Smooth Wolf sent in a tip. Reporting, he said, from Gorima's Laboratory on Manon. Tip of the week is, before you max out on tech fragments, make sure to spend them on the 330, which is the highest gear item rating minus the R4 anomaly and other operations. And how is everyone enjoying the Nar Shaddaa nightlife event? Well, we've talked about that. I think we are enjoying it.
Yeah, it's fun.
I definitely, it's to the point where I don't, it's not like all I want to do, but I'm really hoping that I get those goggles this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically a reminder tip that, yeah, before, don't max out on your tech gear. Make sure you get it upgraded on the 330 stuff. And also, like, if you haven't gotten the mission to get those implants, you definitely need to use that, because once you get the mission done, which usually takes a week or two, no big deal, then you start upgrading your implants, but it takes 6,500 points, which is more than half of the maximum. So it takes a long time to get your upgrades, and you don't want to be maxing out and wasting them for sure, because there's plenty of stuff to use your tech gear on right now. I also added a couple sort of related, sort of geary tips here as well. When you open these boxes, you only get side grades. Like you can, like let's say you have like mostly 330, but you have one 326 bear, and you're thinking, well, the item rating, when it says on my character sheet, says 330 because I only have one pair of 326. Everything else is 330. So I'm going to open a box. Well, if that last piece is, say, the boots, and that's your one piece of 326 gear, and you get a pair of boots, it's going to be side grade to those boots. It's just going to give you 326 boots. So don't bother opening those boxes unless you actually want more of the same level of gear. So in other words, I would wait until 330 personally.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can delete the items and get a few tech points, but it really is just a few tech points. It's only like 3 or 4 points a piece. It's not really worth it. It's only worth it if you're going for another set, and that's when you're going to be at 330, not 326 or 328. One other thing, also I found out for sure that getting your 330 times 2 implant achievement, it makes getting implants cheaper, but it doesn't make getting 334 implants cheaper. It makes getting other implants up to 330 cheaper. Mm-hmm. I wish it would make it cheaper all the way, but that's not the case. I'm still doing the 6,500 per, getting them up to 334. But I can get other sets up a little bit faster, which will be good. So the tank set will go faster, for instance, which will be nice.
Which is so much better than having to grind that out.
Yeah. So DL Smooth Wolf is the winner of a Tonfon or M83R or M2B9 droid code, courtesy of BioWare, plus also from BioWare a 450 CC code. And if you'd like a chance to win the same, send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show. All right. So thank you, DL Smooth Wolf. Let's move on then to the Mind Trap. And the question, which, because we think about this sort of thing all the time, because we do a lot of, well, you're the hardcore nightmare mode. Outfitter person, and I'm the sort of the cosplay person. So we asked, do you make cosplay characters in SWTOR? And if so, what are they based on? For the next show, retweets appreciated. And so the options were yes, SWTOR based, yes, Star Wars based, yes, non-Star Wars based, or just no, which is All good. Interestingly, no one going away, like, even adding up the other 3 yeses, no one with 56.5% of the vote. So that puts the yeses at about 43.5%. And so for the yeses, so no again, 56.5%. SWTOR based was 14.5%, Star Wars based 21%, and non-Star Wars based 8.1%. And of course, I was non-Star Wars based. I've made a couple of Star Wars and SWTOR cosplays, but mostly I enjoy the challenge of coming up with a cosplay that is not based on something that is sort of likely to be found within a Star Wars game, like a Mandalorian sort of look or whatever.
Right.
I have a lot of fun doing that. And I'm really happy with, I think She-Hulk looks awesome. I've always been happy with my Wonder Woman cosplay, my Storm cosplay. Doctor Doom was a lot of fun. He looks pretty cool. Anyway, a bunch of them over time. And which one did you answer as, Kitty?
I kind of do a lot of different ones that are non-Star Wars, some Star Wars and SWTOR, but I had to do SWTOR based because that's the majority of the cosplay that I've done in the past.
Cool. Yeah. And there was some other people who were saying, I wish I could say yes to more than one, but I had to put it some way. So I trusted people to sort of sort it out for themselves, that that they would either choose the one they've done the most cosplays of, or maybe their favorite, or their main, or the most recent one, whatever personal decision they made would work out. So interestingly, this is one of the polls that had the fewest votes, which would kind of make sense because majority don't do this. So therefore the majority of people who are looking at this question aren't particularly going to be interested in it. And not a ton of people voted for it. 62 votes. I think this is the lowest Mind Trap vote ever, which is interesting. Yeah. So that's sort of how these go. We've had votes well over 1,000, and this one's well under 100. So there you go. But we do appreciate the retweets. Are still, and the funny thing is, the retweet number is not that different from other retweet numbers that we've seen. 8's a little low, but it's not that low. It really is. We usually don't get that many. It doesn't take that many retweets, just a few people retweeting, and it gets to enough of the audience that people see the quote. But just some people, just if people aren't interested, they won't, instead of answering no, they'll just won't answer at all and move on, which is fine. But that's sort of and I'm sure there's whole people who's a whole industry is figuring out ways to make social media work better, and I'm sure they would have lots and lots to say about that.
Yeah,
but I think I've hinted enough, and we're gonna keep going. Quirkus, I thought, had one. The closest thing to a cosplay tune is a character called Beauty School Dropout, which I love. I assume that yeah, exactly. I assume it looks like Frenchie from Grease, which I think is awesome. There is pink hair in the game, right? So so I'm sure you could come up with something. And and some people have one. So Kitty Treats said, "I've done a little of both. Have my own tune now that I'm replicating and playing through all class stories. I have a cosplay tune trooper modeled after Kara Thrace Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica." So there you go, a non-Star Wars one. Let's see. Darth Mom said, "I like to play designer Space Barbie for the win."
Space Barbie.
Space Bobby. All right, so I think that's pretty good for that. Let's move on to Cantina Talk.
Cantina Talk with Chill.
With Chill. This is a fairly new segment, and we do not necessarily every week, but we've talked about Tara Strong, Nika Futterman, John DiMaggio, Tom Wilson, Darren Norris, Lacey Chabert, Kath Soucy, and Darren DePaul in the past. All these are people who, in fact, have voiced for SWTOR in various ways. This time, it's David Hayter. And David Hayter, in terms of SWTOR, is known for being the male Jedi Knight in SWTOR. So one of the class voices, which is really cool, which is important. And it's funny because he's credited as having additional voices, but I haven't seen a break anywhere that kind of breaks it down. Usually, especially IMDb will sort of break down the additional voices. I haven't really found a list like that. He really does seem to stick mostly to the male Jedi Knight. But one of the cool things about being the male Jedi Knight is that when they're doing little videos for SWTOR, it's usually the male Jedi Knight character they're using. Whenever there's a character who's supposed to be a character in the game talking, they always choose the male Jedi Knight. It's usually the same guy too, with the same haircut and everything. I can sort of picture him in my head. It's a little hard to describe him, but yeah. So we've all heard his voice. Even if you've never played a male Jedi Knight, you've heard his voice, I'm sure, at some point, if you've watched enough SWTOR videos, for sure. And so the cool thing about, one of the interesting things I thought about when I was learning about David Hayter, well, first of all, let's get rid of the big elephant in the room. He is Solid Snake. He does Solid Snake and the variations, the Naked Snake and Jack, in the many Metal Gear video games and related things. Like, he even does like this Super Smash Brothers Brawl Solid Snake. So he's Solid Snake pretty much everywhere. So there you go. So like, we have this guy who does Solid Snake, and he's in SWTOR, and he does the male Jedi Knight, which I think is awesome.
That's cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was the same guy.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah, that is cool.
And he's also done a couple of other interesting things that I thought. He was also King Shark in the Flash TV series and like one other series very briefly. He's also Captain America back in the 1990s Spider-Man the Animated Series, in multiple episodes of that. And he's had roles going back all the way to 1979, which was also a voice acting gig, but that was just like one or two. There's only a few early on. And then his sort of heavy voice work period started in like the late 90s and sort of snowballed ever since then. This is sort of a bit of a theme that we've seen, where people, once they get into voice work and then they get a couple of successful roles or bigger roles or whatever, and then all of a sudden they get lots of roles. Like, it was the same with Darren DePaul. It was the same with a lot of people, where like they sort of hit this little moment where they sort of get noticed by the industry in some way, and then all of a sudden they're getting roles every year, small and large. It's sort of the true with him, although if you look at his IMDb page, a lot of it is Solid Snake.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
There's a lot of Solid Snake. Like, it's amazing how much Solid Snake is out there. But the cool thing was, like, that I thought was especially interesting for him was, in addition to the acting, he's also a producer and writer. So he's been a producer for a TV series called Warrior Nun, another TV movie called Lost in Oz, and also A Christmas Horror Story, a few other things as well. And even cooler, though, he's done some screenplays for some really well-known movies. He was the screenwriter for X-Men in 2000, kicking off the whole X-Men franchise, X2, X-Men United, The Scorpion King, and Watchmen from 2009. Yeah. Those are all like really, really well-known movies. They're all basically, Scorpion King maybe not, but they're basically all superhero movies and sort of in the same general genre. Watchmen, of course, an unusual case. That movie. An unusual case, but very much a superhero movie. So that was cool that he's actually done, because like some of these actors that we've talked about, like, they're big enough that they sort of get some producing credits and stuff like that. But David is actually like producer writer, like where he's a producer, he's also a writer for those like Warrior Nun and things like that. And it was cool that he actually, wrote the screenplays for like some of these like really, really big movies.
That's great.
Because I obviously there's been other big superhero movies that sort of kick things off, but X-Men for me at least was sort of like a wake up moment for superhero movies for me, because like that was 2000, and before then it's like there were a few superhero movies out there. Most of them were bad though. A couple of them were okay, but they were
goofy.
Yeah, or they were just for things like Blade that were successful, but like I didn't even I hardly even knew that was a comic book movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
X-Men was the X-Men. I mean, X-Men is... I had a subscription to the X-Men growing up in Idaho in the 1980s, and then they would come to my mailbox and it would be all bent up, of course. Comic book collectors would shriek in horror if they saw my X-Men's from those period of time. But, this is X-Men. It's kind of a huge thing. And the first movie was very, very successful, and it sort of kicked off a lot of things, really, and sort of made a lot of things sort of possible, basically, that weren't possible before. Groups of groups of superhero movies, for instance, because the others, Blade was a single character sort of comic book. The Superman movies had been made for a long time, of course. The Batman movies had been made for a long time. They had started making Spider-Man around this time. But then like group superhero movies, like the few that they had tried were pretty floppy. Then there was X-Men, with Patrick Stewart as Professor X and a bunch of other people, and kind of knocking it out of the park, more or less, as far as I was concerned. And starting it up. Yeah, and he was the screenwriter. So really cool that we have the screenwriter for him in SWTOR, being the male Jedi Knight. So thank you, David Hayter, for doing all that. That's really cool. All right, and so we'll get on to the news now. The HoloFeed. SWTOR we're kind of lucky because sometimes we do our episode, and then like just a day or two after that, they put out the in-game events for the whole month right after that, and we end up having to talk about it halfway through the month almost, and missing like one or two, or even sometimes two of them. But fortunately, they did put it out today for September, which is great. It's kind of funny. I saw the picture, and it's clearly for the nightlife, and yet in my brain it's like, oh yeah, the culinary event's coming up, and it's not for the culinary event. Culinary event does not show up in the September list, and yet it's got to be coming up pretty soon.
It's got Hutts in it, though.
I think that must have been it. I don't know what I was thinking then. Anyway, the Nar Shaddaa Nightlife, it's been going on. It will go on till September 13th. Definitely check it out. It says requirement none, but you really do need to be able to get to Nar Shaddaa. Generally speaking, I mean, maybe you could get booted out from a friend's Nar Shaddaa stronghold onto Nar Shaddaa and then quick travel to the...
I think they fixed that.
Maybe you could do that? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's some way to do it otherwise. But basically, you're going to need a ship. So you're going to need to be done with the class story. Not class story, the capital world of the class story.
Or if you're real sneaky, you can level up enough that Nar Shaddaa starts popping up in your
heroic.
Not in the heroics. Go to fleet, and it'll pop up on the daily terminal before it pops up in there.
Will it do it before
weekly? Yeah, and then you can just get over there. That's how I got there when we first started playing. Funny. Because I wasn't able to get there because I didn't.
I would have assumed those were the same levels, and I just didn't know that. You learn something every day. Isn't that amazing? Yep. So there's one level that it will start giving you the Nar Shaddaa dailies on the fleet, and then a higher level where you can actually pull it down from your little list from up above, from your activities list. Wow.
For that quick travel.
I would have assumed they were the same level. I had no idea that could... Wow. Okay, there you go.
Before. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're red. They'll be red, and if you try to do them, your character won't be able to do any damage, but you can still use it to
get there. Right. Yeah. That's funny. Anyway, so September 13th is when it ends. And the Kingpins and the Nightlife Socialite armor sets, several companions, several mounts, several pets. You can get cartel market certificates for the stuff for a bunch of people on the fleet. We've talked about all this before. The High Roller Shades is the hard thing to get, and that's the thing I'm still trying to get. Yeah. Decos, all that stuff. Yeah. So, and I do like some of the high roller weapons. The new ones are really nice.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah. So again, September 13th is when that ends. You got a little more time, couple weeks basically. And anyway, so Relics of the Gree is coming soon-ish, September 6th through the 13th. So it's basically a week out. It will end at the same time as the Nightlife event. It's your typical Relics Gree event with all that good stuff. Pirate Incursion is coming back. That's to Dantooine. That's going to be on September 20th to the 27th. and you have to be level 20 plus for that one, but that's pretty easy to get, not too bad at all. And they do mention that the 10-year anniversary is still ongoing, which basically means there's at this point, what that mostly means is that there's a vendor on the fleet with class ship stronghold decorations. There's a couple of toys, a couple of other things. And again, I know there's because it's all year, there's like no rush to get there, but I promise you there'll be some people who are like towards the end of the year will realize, oh my god, I gotta do it now. Yeah, it's going through January 2023. They don't have the exact day it's ending, but at one point I just kind of ran across it, and it's like, you know what, let's do this now, and I just kind of took care of everything.
I did the same thing.
Grabbed all the decos and stuff.
I knew I'd forget. I knew I'd forget.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a few, and I do like how the devs have been doing this more and more, like where people have been responding to bugs and they sort of talk about them a little bit. They'll either say that they're okay, thank you, or on the list, or they'll ask for more information or whatever. And I don't necessarily talk about everyone or put them all in the show notes, but ones that there's a little more detail or at least are interesting in some way, I do go ahead and grab. Apparently the Lady Dominique in the R4 story mode is giving fewer tech fragments than compared to what they are in other operations. And so Bryant Wood responded, it sounds like someone's been stealing tech fragments from Lady Dominique. We'll address this in an upcoming patch to match prior operations before Lady D finds out.
That's nice.
Yeah. One person was losing some cartel coins, or said they did. You never know. It can be user error as well, I'm sure. Like you buy something and you just forget you did or whatever. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily the case, but the reason I bring this up is community team did answer them when you can check your cartel coin history on your SWTOR account. And I think I did know about this a long time ago, but I had completely forgotten this was a thing. You go to SWTOR.com, you log into your account, you click on the little thing that says my account, and then there's a cartel coins tab. You click on it, and I never really interested me before. I kind of assumed that's like where you could buy some more or whatever. It's actually a history of your cartel coin purchases, yeah. And also the amounts you get from like if you have the security key, it'll say the date and the 100 that you got then. If you're subscribed, when you get those. Every time you unlock something or use up cartel coins in any way, it shows up on the list. And you can actually like scroll down and it'll keep going further and further back. And I assume it'll go all the way back. I didn't test that. I went back to 2017 and realized, okay, I get the idea.
I recently heard from someone that had to check something from back when on a pre-order, and they were able to find their pre-order.
Wow, that's cool. So it does go all the way back.
That's what someone said.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it because, like I said, I went back all the way. It was down back to 2017. We're talking, five-ish years ago, and it was still going, and it was still pulling down more every time I got to the bottom of the list. So yeah, if you're ever curious, like where did my cartel coins go, there's a way to check it out. Now, of course, if this person who had an issue, maybe something doesn't jive, then maybe he can, I'm sure they would want to follow up with that. But so there you go. Cool. So yeah, if you're ever curious, what about your cartel coin amounts, that's how you can find out. There is going to be a maintenance coming, and interestingly, it was September 1st. So instead of the usual Tuesday, it's going to be coming up on Wednesday. Yeah, it's back-end maintenance, so they never really go into detail what that's about. This is all stuff that happens on their end. It doesn't require an update on our side, but it just fixes things on their end, and that's going to be happening tomorrow. They are putting a pretty good long 5 to 11 a.m. time frame. That's a good long back-end maintenance. Now often they're making that conservative, and it'll actually take up only a fraction of that, but you never know. Right. And usually the windows are not even not that long, so it's going to be offline for a while. It sounds like they're doing something. So anyway, prepare for that. There's a pretty good, and it's morning, very, very early, or kind of almost overnight. Yeah, if you're kind of U.S. time, and if you're somewhere else, then you got to kind of figure that out. So how, as they put it, it's 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. UTC. So if you're using UTC as your guide, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. UTC. All right. Another bug that I thought was interesting, starting to come across broken harvesting nodes again. So they asked for, basically the community team just asked for details. This is a bug that started coming up maybe a year ago, something like that, and then they fix it, and then it comes up again, and they fix it, and they come up, and apparently it's coming back up for some people. I haven't personally seen it this time, but it's interesting to know that it's happening again. Yeah, weird. Someone was asking, are we going to get any new strongholds during the 7.0 era? And Eric Musco himself answered this one, so this was pretty cool. Nice. And he said, hey there, yes, new strongholds. So this is something we've been chatting about recently as well, so I can speak a bit to what is and is not planned. First of all, you should not expect a new stronghold this year. I know there's another thread a couple weeks ago asking about a possible new stronghold with Galactic Season 3. We're going to be talking in the coming weeks about the Galactic Season 3 rewards. Can't wait to talk about that. But a new stronghold is not one of them. That said, we are tentatively looking to add a new stronghold with Galactic Season 4 next year. Take that statement with dump trucks of salt, as we are still early in the reward planning for GS4, and a lot can change between now and then. There's also been some chatter about a new non-Galactic Season stronghold, but nothing concrete on the schedule right now. I know you'll be very curious regarding possible locations, but since this is all early days and tentative, I'm not going to speak to that now. So there you go. No new strongholds for at least a little while. Possibly Galactic Season 4 next year. And since Galactic Season 3, I mean, we're past Galactic Season 2 that ended, what was that? Early June or something like that. We know, and when is Season 3 coming out might be the next question. Well, Jackie Ko has some information about that. And because she sort of piped up and said, hey, Lance Defender, Galactic Season 3 will be coming in our next game update, which we are calling 7.1.1. In other words, not necessarily 7.2, the next sort of story update, but the next game update, 7.1.1. Right. So we're finalizing the details right now, so I don't have more to share at this time. But I can at least confirm that GS3 will be coming in the next update. So that makes sense. The seasons last quite a little while. We're already... we're not technically in September. We're about to start September. We don't know exactly when Season 3 will start, but they last a while. They last a couple of months, basically.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so, and then, of course, there's going to be another gap, it makes sense that Galactic Season 4, assuming it does have a stronghold, which, again, Eric says is being looked at, but is still tentative.
Don't count your chickens.
It would be next year, so that's why he's able to at least tell us, no new strongholds this year for sure. But there's only 3 months more left in this year.
Oh my God, you're right. Only 3 months.
Isn't that crazy?
Time's going fast.
Let's see, and then, all right, if I can find out, was this Bryant? I can't see. I think it was Bryant. Anyway, from the dev team, wrote. Hey everyone, let's see, finally we've continued to, let's see, let me actually improve this, how this looks so I can actually read it properly. Okay, it's gonna be a pain in the butt apparently. We're adjusting our DPS, they're talking about balance basically, so balance changes coming for 7.1.1, which is the one that, Jackie said, would be looking for Galactic Season 3 as well, but we don't have a date on. So they're continuing to adjust our DPS balance across multiple combat styles for 7.1.1 with the intention to narrow the gap between the top and bottom DPS classes. We continue to strive for making every combat style viable while retaining what makes it unique. We are also introducing new tacticals for 7.1.1 to replace old tactical items that were removed with 7.0. Which is true, and they did that recently as well. We already got a few to sort of help make up for the fact that some specs sort of lost tactical options and stuff like that. Right. One will be for advanced prototype tactics power techs, and the other is for madness sorcerers / balance sages, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
7.1.1 will not be available on PTS, but you can see a list of tentative changes below, and we'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback on our direction. So nice. There we go. So this is very spoilery. Not that I mean, it's also tentative. Of course, these could change,
Yeah.
be taken out, be adjusted, all that sort of stuff, or even new ones put in that they're not talking about. Although I can't spoil that because it wouldn't be in. Operative and Scoundrel, evasion and dodge now additionally lowers threat by a moderate amount and lasts 1 second longer, which is pretty cool because it is a pretty short cooldown. It's one of those that's designed to sort of stop pretty much all of a couple of different types of abilities, but that makes it really tricky to time when it's so short. So having it add another second longer is nice, because it's not going to affect PvP too much, because 1 second is less than a global, so it increases this window without necessarily making it a whole global longer. So in other words, if you use two abilities that would get affected by evasion, it's not going to necessarily knock another one off of your ability to hit this person. Right. So hope that's not a bad way to go, if in my opinion. Quick countermeasures and sly countermeasures now additionally grant 60% AoE reduction while evasion is active, which remember is another second longer. So it's now an AoE damage reduction, which is pretty cool. While this I'm sure would help in PvP, this also sounds like a pretty cool thing for operations where it's like, oh, I can't get out of this circle, or maybe you're not meant to get out of the circle, but you can hit it and hopefully it would help reduce it. Of course, some boss mechanics are designed not to be able to be avoided by even cooldowns and stuff like that. So, your mileage may vary, but still, it could help. And certainly if you make a mistake and that you should have gotten out of it, but you can't, then that's the sort of thing that it might actually help with. This now additionally works with the evasive screen / skedaddle mod. So in other words, if you get the dodge while skedaddling, then that can work as well.
Skedaddling.
Yeah, that's it's a funny one. So yeah, those are the ones for Operative Scoundrel. Medicine / Sawbones. Reduce the Culto Burst mod's healing on secondary targets by 50%. So they want to reduce the AoE healing a bit. Culto Stim mod now additionally grants 10% increased healing to Culto Injection, so that's more single target. Reduce the healing received bonus by Nanomark mod from 20 to 10%. Can't remember exactly what the Nanomark one does, so I'm sorry I can't talk to that one right now. Redesigned Defensive Injection mod, which is now called Reactive Substance and does the following. Culto Injection now applies reactive substance to the target for 10 seconds. If the target is dealt damage during this time, they are healed. Stacks up to twice. So it's kind of like the one that you can get for mercenary commando healers, which is sort of reactive. You basically, when you take damage, you get a heal. Usually a smallish heal, but a heal. And then this one is going to do kind of the same thing, only once, or stacks up to 2 times, so up to twice. I imagine since you're going to have to stack this one and it only stacks twice, that the heal might be a little stronger than the mercenary commando version. I don't know 100% know that for a fact, but I would just say based on how it's being worded, I'm gonna guess it probably is, but it's probably not huge either. I doubt you'd get a heal more than the damage that you're taking. That's pretty unlikely, but we'll see. Concealment Scrapper. Let's see. Reduce the bonus critical hit damage while Stim Boost is active from 20% down to 15%. So apparently they felt Stim Boost was a little overpowered. The tactical Acid Lash no longer improves the damage of Acid Blade. Not sure which. I'm sorry, I can't remember which one that does.
I can't remember either.
I don't know if Acid Lash is like one of the ones that people use a lot. Maybe it is, but I can't remember it. Increase the duration of Advanced Stealth mod effect from 4 to 6 seconds. It's interesting. Let's see. Increase the duration of tactical critical / upper critical mod effect from 4 to 6 seconds. Increase the damage reduction per stack from the defensive stance mod from 3% to 5%. So that's pretty cool. Because I find that a lot of if you're a tank, it's one thing, but if you're on a DPS spec, a lot of the times these reduction of damage per stack, they feel very weak. Like they don't seem to do a whole lot. And also sometimes you have to choose them. But if one of the choices you make to get this sort of defensive stack thing is to give up something that does more damage, and a lot of times that it feels, unless it's an actually really strong defensive choice, you kind of ignore it because you want more damage if you're a DPSer. So it makes sense that this might might be something that gets buffed. The best defense mod is now adds a life steal component to crippling slice / shank shot. Interesting. I think that's the one that so like your spammable ability, not spammable, your 6 second cooldown one that gives you an upper hand. That's the one. I think this best defense one is the one that gives you like the heal back from that. So I think it's going to do. I don't
remember.
So I think it's going to do it the same one to the shank shot. I think that's the idea, which makes sense. I don't know anyone who would actually take that one. I guess it's a mod now. I thought it was a tactical, but maybe that was pre 7.0. But I think if I remember correctly, it's the one where it's like you do the damage of this 6 second ability, and it gives you like 10% of the damage you do back as a heal. It's pretty lame. Like it was always pretty lame. So now there's a second ability that you get some healing back on. It's kind of a longer cooldown, so it's not going to really add that much more. So we'll see how but maybe the percentage is higher or something. Who knows? And I could be wrong about that though, but I think that's right. That's the ability we're talking about. I'm not 100% sure on that though. But in any case, best defense mod now adds a lifesteal component to crippling slice / shank shot. Increase the movement speed bonus granted by quick countermeasures from 50% to 100%. That's pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because it's 50% is pretty good movement speed. 100%, you will always notice when someone's got like a really big 100% bonus on them. Yeah, that's really good. Because I remember like the improved predation, which like you could make the whole group run at like a really increased speed. The improved version was like 70%, and it felt like the whole team was just like sprinting, like down the field. So 100%, you're going to notice someone who's using that. You're going to want to put a slow on that guy if they're in a war zone.
Yeah, it's great to get out of if you're running operations. I used to use it to get out of the way of stuff a lot.
Yeah.
Especially if something's got me targeted, use the countermeasures to get rid of your aggro and get the hell out of dodge. So.
Yeah, that's going to be really nice. I think it only lasts a few seconds, but it's if all you need to do,
cover a lot of ground at 100%.
Yeah, exactly. If all you need to do is get out of a red circle, you're good to go. Right, exactly. Put that meat shield between you. Sniper and gunslinger. First of all, marksmanship / sharpshooter. Target acquired / illegal mods now generates a charge of Lay's target or smuggler's luck whenever it's activated. So that's pretty cool. I don't know how often that will happen because I think there's some sort of cooldown involved, but I can't remember how long it is. Laser focus / lucky thoughts no longer relies on critically hitting the target to lower the cooldown on Lay's target or smuggler's luck, but instead has a 50% chance to do so whenever dealing damage.
Wow.
That's pretty cool because what that potentially does is it means you could potentially go for like an alacrity build instead of like a crit build. A lot of times if there's enough crit things, alacrity kind of goes by the wayside. Like you might get enough to get the 1.5 global down to the 1.4, and then you kind of like leave it alone after that, and you just do crit because if you have anything that improves because of crit, then great, and crit is kind of like always decent no matter what.
Yeah. So
this is sort of swinging that balance a little bit for this spec, and maybe some people will try out an alacrity build now and see that with the 50% chance to get that, I don't need the crit so much, and I can go for an alacrity build and really like pump out globals, which is really nice. Mercenary / commando, bodyguard and combat medic. Increase the healing done by rapid scan, emergency scan, progressive scan, colto missile, and colto pods by 2%. Nice. So pretty broad, but slight 2% healing increase. Increase the critical healing bonus given by Warden from 5% to 10%. Increase the healing bonus given by integrated scanning mod from 3% to 5%. And increase the critical chance bonus to healing scan from critical modding, the critical scanning mod from 5% to 10%. So none of these are huge jumps, but lots of little ones. So they must have just felt in general that the Mercenary Commando was a little bit weak. And it includes things like rapid scan, colto missile, colto pods, So some of those are AoE, some of those are single target. So it feels like they felt like the healing was a little underwhelming on the spec in general, and they found just different ways to pop it a little bit.
Tighten the screw on a couple things.
Yeah.
Tune it up. All
right. Power Tech and Advanced Prototype. Advanced Prototype, let's see, Magnetic Blast / Tactical Surge. Damage reduced by 14%. So yeah, this is one of the ones that they thought was overpowered, and I think a lot of people have felt the numbers were pretty high. Power Burst / High Yield Explosive. Mod stacks damage bonus reduced to 4% per stack, down from 5%. Total of 16% instead of 20%. Serrated Blade damage reduced to 5%, down from 15%, combined into Prototype Rail. Blood Tracker / Triumph damage increased to bleeding targets is reduced to 3% from 5%. Lingering Heat / Superheated Cells damage reduced by 50%.
Whoa.
Yeah, Advanced Prototype was pretty powerful, apparently.
Oh, man.
And a new tactical, though. This is pretty cool. It's always fun to see new tacticals.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
I always want to dig in, try to figure out what they're trying to do. Thermal Detonator remains dormant on the target for 12 seconds and can be detonated by Magnetic Blast, Energy Burst, or Rail Shot. Depending on which is used, a different effect is applied. How cool is that?
Cool.
I always love. This is exactly what I think tacticals should be. It should never be like a flat improvement to them. I love ones that sort of alter your rotation in some way, or give you options of different abilities to use for different situations.
This is awesome.
Anyway, so in any case, Thermal Detonator remains dormant for 12 seconds. Can be detonated by Magnetic Blast, Energy Burst, or Rail Shot. Depending on which is used, a different effect is applied. Okay. Magnetic Blast slows the target by 50% for 10 seconds. That's pretty good slow.
That is a great slow.
Yeah. Energy Burst. The cooldown of Thermal Detonator is reset. This can happen only once every 10 seconds.
That's a good one, too.
Yep. Or Rail Shot. Your next shoulder cannon missile deals 20% more damage.
Nice.
Pretty nice. So, yeah, I guess depending on... It seems like the Energy Burst is probably the real one, because Thermal Detonator is a heavy hitter. Thermal Detonator hits like a truck anyways. If you can reset it every 10 seconds, you should probably do that one a lot. And then if that's not available, then maybe Rail Shot. Or if you need the slow Magnetic Blast, of course.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love the idea that you have another slow added.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that's a really cool one. They didn't say how you're going to get it, so I'm going to just kind of assume you can get it from the vendor.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming too.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they were going to add it as a armor mech recipe or something like that, they would say it. Pyrotech and Plasmatech. Let's see. Charge gauntlets. But again, despite the new tactical, like the damage is going way down on that spec. Yeah. Like everything was being nerfed. There was no compensating buffs at all. It was all just nerf. And some of them looked pretty heavy too. Pyrotech and Plasmatech though. Charge gauntlets / hyper assault cells critical damage bonus for Searing Wave, Flaming Fist, Scorch, and Immolate is now 10%, down from 15%. So again, reducing the damage for this spec. Reduce the damage bonus given from Burnout to Immolate and Plasma Flare from 40% down to 30%. So not as many nerfs for sure, but definitely a couple of pretty solid nerfs, it seemed like. Let's see, and then on to Sorcerer Sage. The first one, Corruption / Seer. Increasing the healing given by Penetrating Darkness, Clairvoyance to Renewal and Resurgence Rejuvenate from 10% to 15%. So a heal bump here. Dark Heal / Benevolence now gains a 60% healing increase, up from 50% from Dark Concentration / Altruism.
Little bump there.
Yep. Each stack of Corrupted Bastion / Resurging Power increases healing done by Dark Heal, Benevolence, Rally, Deliverance, or Dark Fusion, Keeper of the Peace by 5% per stack, up from 3% per stack. So
nice.
Some pretty solid upgrades there, it feels like. So for the healers in the Sorcerer Sage thing. If you're more the dot type, Madness Balance, new tactical, woo! And it's AoE focus. So Death Field slows targets it affects by 50%. Death Field is kind of one of your typical medium-long cooldowns. I think it's like somewhere around the 15-second mark.
Right.
It's a pretty important ability that you will definitely use. Like, it's part of your regular rotation if you're madness or balance. However, Force Storm also deals 15% more damage to slowed targets. So not only is it giving you a slow, it says that Force Storm deals 15% more damage to slowed targets.
Ouch.
Now, of course, a lot of bosses are immune to slows, so this may be more PvP than anything else. But yeah, anyway, it's called Killing Field. And yeah, Death Field slows targets' effects, and also Force Storm deals 15% more damage to slowed targets. So it gives you a way to slow them down and then a way to burn them down once they're slowed. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that would also be, because I think this is also like the rotation you'd use for solo stuff. So like if you were out just doing solo daily stuff.
Dailies, right. That's
yeah,
exactly what I was
you could
thinking.
slap that one in and, you know, group up to 8 of them, because most of these abilities only affect up to 8 people.
Right, right.
Slap the death field on them and then start Force Storming the heck out of them.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. But pretty good in PvP too. There are times where, you know, people are grouped up for various reasons. You know, they're around the hut ball, they are near the door, they are, you know,
exactly.
They're in one area of the arena, whatever. Yeah, AoE them down, AoE them first, slow them, and then deal a bunch of, you know, extra damage. Force Storm's pretty good ability, like damage wise. It's really not bad, even in like PvP situations. It hurts. You want to get out of it. And if you're being slowed by 50%, you're going to have a harder time doing it, you know, assuming you don't have a roll or something else.
And there could be multiple madness or balance source out there doing that to you. So it's
true. It doesn't say it has to be slowed targets from the death field. It could be, you know,
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, or even your you know, buddy with the shiv over here, you know, putting that little slow ability on him, shanking him. If you're, however, Assassin Shadow, Deception/Infiltration spec, this is sort of the backstabby direct damage spec. Let's see, the damage done by Awakened Flame Tactical has been increased by 10%. I don't know if this is like the typical tactical used by the spec, but if it is, then it's better, and if it's not, you might want to take another look at it. Change Severing Slash to additionally grant damage reduction per target hit, so that's pretty cool. Is Severing Slash, is that the one ability that's relatively new and it's like a little cone in front of you? I think that's the one.
I don't remember.
I think that is the one, if I remember correctly.
And I just
that might give me more of a reason to use it. A lot of times I put it on a sort of a secondary button where I hardly ever use it, because it's like I have other AoE tools and little cones in front of me that have like a 10-second cooldown and don't do that much damage is like not worth my time. So, but granting damage reduction might be a reason to use it for sure. Redesigned May Cause Injury Tactical to grant the AoE version of Discharge more often. It now reads gaining a stack of Voltage or Clairvoyance / Clairvoyance, because, you know, it's one side or the other, causes your next discharge or Force Breach to arc to multiple targets. So now, May Cause Injury Tactical will now be the AoE version.
Interesting, yeah.
It's pretty cool. Hatred and Serenity. Change the two-time Trouble Tactical so that it can no longer tick from Saber Strike damage. Fulguration / Rebounding Force now restores 5 force when Lightning Charge or Force Technique deals damage, up from 3. So we've got 1 nerf and 1 buff. Increase the damage bonus given by Pervasive Death / Pervasive Balance to the Death Field / Force and Balance from 10% to 15%. So that's another buff. Nice. Hungering Force / Longing Force now additionally grants a critical hit damage bonus of 5%. So another buff. And increased lifesteal amount from Severing Slash from 25% to 50%. Yoink. Yeah, Severing Slash is one of those abilities, again, it's sort of shortish medium cooldown from what I remember, around the 12-second mark, something like that. Pretty good damage, and then it gave you a heal back. It's kind of like that one tactical that you could get for the smugglers, where it would take that one ability and gave a little heal back. Only this one was free. The heal was free. So you didn't need a tactical. That's how lame that other tactical was. And why no one used it. Increase the lifesteal amount from 25% to 50%. Basically, of the damage done is how I remember. It's basically how it's worded. So basically doubling the heal back from
Yeah.
it. It's still, it's not exactly one of those self-heal sort of specs, but another few thousand heal can be all the difference between surviving and not surviving. That's for sure.
Exactly. And I know some people that, love that ability.
Right. So apparently it's interesting that sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Kitty.
Oh, no, not at all.
So it was interesting, though. All of them were buffs, except for the very first one. Changed the 2-time trouble tactical so it can no longer tick from Saber Strike damage. I think Saber Strike, is that the free ability? I think it might be. Because if it is, then it hits multiple times. It's possible that just because it's the free ability, you could get too much value out of it, essentially. I think that was the problem with that. Either that or it's the spammable ability, which I think is the one that strikes twice. So I think what was happening is you get too much value out of it for using these cheap / free abilities. I can't remember which one it is.
I know which it's the I can see the animation for it.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's the idea. Is like it was doing more than it intended for, like these really cheap abilities that shouldn't do that sort of thing.
Right.
They don't want a situation where someone's running around like never having to use any force because their tactical is doing all the damage for them with their spammable ability, basically.
Yeah. Just healing up with all that stuff.
But yeah, everything else was a buff. So they found one problem issue that they kind of took care of, and then everything else, though, they felt they actually needed buffs. Interesting. Cool. Darkness / kinetic combat. Change the severing / effect for darkness to root its target for 2 seconds, followed by a 3-second slow. Severing / no longer grants damage reduction. Interesting. So Severing / is now a root / slow, but no longer grants damage reduction. Okay, and that was the only one. So interesting that's very much a utility change.
Right.
Because losing the damage reduction is a utility change, and then gaining a root / slow is also a utility change, and then gaining one, losing the other. Interesting. Yeah, and really I don't know about all the specs, but at least when we're leveling, it feels like Marauders and Sentinels do a ton of damage.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more, maybe they didn't find an issue for it at endgame, but I'm not seeing any changes to them.
Yeah, I didn't see any either, right?
So, yeah. So maybe at endgame they feel more balanced or whatever, but they definitely hurt like heck in war zones. We're always having to decide: are we going to like focus them first or not? Or if we don't focus them first, how are we going to deal with them? But
they're, especially when you get players that are playing them correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Oof,
yeah. Do either of the new tacticals are they ones that you're going to get, like the powered detonator for advanced prototype or anything?
I don't really play that class that often.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to.
It's always fun to see. Yeah.
I always like that creativity where you get 3 different options from it is really, really creative. I like that a lot.
It'll also keep you on your toes too, because that way, once you throw the ability on the detonator on them with the 12-second delay now, I think it increases the delay as well, because it usually only takes a few seconds and then it'll explode anyway, I think, or something like that.
Right. And doesn't it blink so you get stressed?
Yeah, it stresses you out.
I'm not sure exactly which one. It's all whang, and you're like, ah.
Right. So, but now it just kind of gets delayed, but then you just pop it with one of those 3 abilities, and it'll kind of make you pay more attention. Okay, I've used that ability. Now I got to make sure, because if it's a boss, you don't want to just give him a slow because he's not going to get slowed. So you want to use it on an ability that's going to get you some bang for your buck.
People get good at that stuff too, so I'm sure that's going to be really fun to add to your rotation, or at least have available in your rotation now. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to check all these out. Not a ton of changes to the specs that I have been maining, but that's okay.
Yeah, me too.
I'll certainly hit them at some point, I'm sure. There's quite a few changes actually to like the Madness spec, which I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The Deception Infiltration spec, I mean. Although the Madness one does get the other new tactical, the Killing Field one, which I thought was kind of cool, where you get the AoE
definitely.
slow, followed by more damage on your spammable AoE ability. Yeah, that's gonna you're gonna people who get that are gonna be able to just run through like daily areas and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Just AoE them, burn them down.
that's
Good
right.
to go.
And don't forget, there's shared tagging now, tag sharing.
Yep.
So you see someone doing that, just get your AoE DPS in there, and you'll get credit too.
All right. Anything else, Kitty?
That's it for me, Chill.
All right. Let's do. We haven't done this yet. This show. Let's go ahead and give out a code or two here.
Okie doke. We've got Gator Skull.
Okay. So sorry, I was going to say the first one is going to be for mount. Then let's do another one for the pet too.
Okay, Gator Skull, and then
Okay.
we've got Lodvar.
Okay. Congratulations, you two. Let's see.
Congrats, you guys.
Let's see. I gotta get. Let's see. So here's the mount. And it looks like Gator Skull got one of the mount ones before, but that's okay actually, because like even you can always give it to a friend or whatever. It's all good. So yep. So there you go.
And then
I just whispered it to you, Gator. And let's see, 446 Gator Skull. And let me find the pet. Okay, here's the pet ones. And sorry, who got the pet one again?
Lodvar.
All right.
Lodvar. Lodvar.
Lodvar. Okay. I'll get that one sent out too. Sweet. And
Congrats, you guys.
Yep. All right. And there's Lodvar. That code. All right. And so there we go. Glad to get that. Glad to. Thanks for coming, everyone. And that's a show. Yeah, if you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Satil Shan server or in our
Tede Rage
Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live bi-weekly on Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific by streaming twitch.tv/OotiniCast. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And thank you to the chat room.
Thanks, chat. Let me see who's on here. We can do a raid.
All right. I will
La.
get over to the place where I can actually raid from.
Ooh, Zamzam's on.
Hey. All right. We'll definitely raid Zamzam then. There we go. And thanks for coming, everyone.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time.
All right. Raiding in 3, 2. And there's the raid. I'll go say hi to her real quick, but I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream, stop the recording.